Good afternoon, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Chefs Know It All. I'm your host, the EdibleDope Chef, and y'all are going to be joining us in a little bit of cooking and conversation today. For our dish of the day, it's going to be a Parmesan Risotto with garlic herb steak. Why I chose this dish, I don't know. I walked in the store. I was actually planning on doing uh, a beef curry or like a oven chicken fried steak or something, but I might say that for another episode. I walked in the store to get my ingredients and something just screamed risotto. So, hey, this is an Italian dish, so we're gonna be going to Italy with this one. Right now, we got all our ingredients laid out. We got our beef broth right here. We got our Arborio rice. That's the type of rice you have to use for risotto. Arborio rice. We got our red, I was about to say red peppers, red onions. We got our Italian parsley, and we got our Parmesan cheese, and we're using stew meat beef tips as our steak meat today. And we also got a little bit of focaccia bread that we're gonna put on the side with our dish today. So first things first that we're gonna want to do is get our grill lit up over here. Let's go ahead and get that turned on. Trying not to burn myself. Hold on. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm having a little bit of a malfunction. Let's see if this one works. There we go. We'll use that one while we figure this other one out right here, because this is a fresh take. So anyway, like we said, we're gonna let our pan get hot while I get this one straightened out, so we can get this one going. And the first thing we're gonna do with our pan, there we go. All right, let's move that back over here. We can move this one back over yonder. We can turn this one off because we're just about to use this one. So first thing we want to do in this pan is we're gonna get our butter. We're gonna cut a little bit of that. Just cut a little bit of our butter off. And we're gonna throw that in the pan and let that melt. Of course. We already got our onions diced up right here. This little purple onion. You can use yellow onion. You can use white onion. It doesn't really matter. I just like purple onion because it adds a nice color to it. And I don't know. I just always use purple onions. This is my favorite onion, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna let that butter melt down right there. It's already smelling good. Just the smell of melting butter. It just smells so good. Goodness. All right. Like I said, we're letting our pan get nice and hot before we throw our onions in there. And we don't want to get it too hot, but we want to kind of speed up the process a little bit. You know what I mean? Speed it up. Put that one right there. And we're going to take these old onions. Our butter's just about melted. We can go ahead and throw our onions in there like that. Grab our little spoon, get all that up out of there. Make sure we're getting all those onions. Alright. We're just going to swirl them around, let them kind of cook down. We don't want to char them or burn them or overcook them. We're just letting them get a little translucent, you know what I mean? Just a little cook down. A little cook down, that's it. It's already smelling good. Butter, onions. Whew, something about that smell that just have you like, oh my God. You know what I mean? little nature seasoning there, salt and pepper. Y'all know I use nature seasoning. Y'all can use salt and pepper if y'all prefer, or seasoned salt or whatever. All right. They're already starting to get a little translucent in there. Translucent, transparent. I don't know. Am I using that word right? Transparent, translucent. I don't know.
Are you trying to say like see-through? Like
I
you can
guess.
see through it?
Yeah, I guess.
Transparent.
Whatever. Transparent, translucent, whatever. Okay. When they cook down a little bit, how about that? When they cook down a little bit, and they start looking like that, get a little color on them. You start getting that flavor coming out of them. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take them out, so we don't want them to burn while we're doing everything else. So we're gonna take them out, and in this same pan, we're gonna do our rice in. Now it's a certain way you have to do risotto rice. So what you do is you throw the rice in the pan and you're gonna spoon the broth into the rice as it's cooking the rice, So of course I'm about to go over that whole process, but I just wanted to say that out loud. It's a certain way you have to do this. So we're gonna take us another piece of butter, drop that on in there. Drop that in there. And then we're gonna go right on in there. Turn our fire down some because we don't want to burn our rice. We're gonna go right in there with our rice. Again, we're using Arborio Rice. Arborio Rice. I can't really tell you where. Okay, well, it's an Italian style rice actually. Italian style rice. You know what I mean? Italian style rice for risotto dishes. Okay, so it's an Italian rice. I just learned something. Don't ask why I didn't know that, even though I've made risotto a few times. But if you bought food from me back when I was selling plates and stuff, then you know I've made risotto for sure. Um, but yeah, so it's an Italian rice that you use specifically for risotto. So you want to get it in here with some butter and kind of let it toast down a little bit, kind of like how you would do your fried rice. You fry your rice first, put it in a little oil or a little butter, and you just kind of let it brown down. You see how it's kind of already getting, like it's cooking a little bit. It's already starting to get transparent and stuff. So there you go. I used the word right that time. Shout out to bro for giving me, telling me what was right. Anyway, so like I said, we got our rice. We're gonna let it toast up a little bit. Like I said, don't have your fire up too high. You want to keep it like medium, somewhere around there, because it will burn very quickly. So we got our beef broth right here. Like I said, we got to spoon the broth into the rice, and then you're gonna let that broth soak up that rice, and then you're gonna spoon more broth into the rice. And you want to make sure your broth is warm already. So have your ladle or some kind of big spoon, and just put a little bit in there. You see, we don't have a whole lot. We just want to kind of put enough in there to kind of coat that rice. And then we just gonna mix it up, and like I said, we're gonna let it cook down in the pan. So once that rice soaks up that broth, then we're gonna add more broth all the way until the rice is all the way done. And this process takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Like I said, because you're keeping it on medium heat, this is not a process that you want to rush, because then you'll burn your rice and then your risotto will taste burnt, and then you got to start all over, or you got unhappy customers that ain't gonna like your risotto, or your family or whoever you making your risotto for, they gonna be unhappy with it. All right. So we got a little bit more. That rice is soaking up fast. So let's cut our fire down just a little bit more. We're gonna scoop some more broth into the rice. I'm sure y'all heard that back door open. I don't know why they keep opening the back door when they know I'm filming. Okay. Anyway. Like I said, we're gonna let that do what it do. We put a little extra broth in there this time. It's not a certain amount that you have to put in there, but you don't want to drown it. Let's put it that way. It's not like you cooking regular rice where you just throw a bunch of water in the pot and let it boil. That's not how we're doing it. With risotto, it don't work like that. You want to let it cook down, keep it evenly across the pot so every piece can kind of cook evenly. And like I said, just watch that fire, man. Keep that fire down. Like I said, just down on like medium. Because it will cook fast. Okay? And while that's going on, I just got to make sure. It smells so good, too. You got that butter in there. You still got that onion flavor up in there, just marinating with the broth and the rice. It's going to be delicious. Especially when we put the onions and stuff back in there. It's going to be crazy. All right, so now what we're getting into is our beef tips. We're going to season them down. I'm going to show y'all how we're going to be doing that whole process. Let's go ahead. Well, no, we won't turn our fire on yet. Let's get our beef seasoned down first. First thing we want to put in there is our EdibleDope blend of seasoning. No, you're not going to know what's in it.
What's in it?
A secret. So, yeah. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. Get in there with your hands. Don't be scared. Get in there. Mix that thing up like that. Get it nice and blended. Nice and seasoned. You know what I mean? You know what they say
about that season?
If you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. You know what I mean? But it's different with me because I'm used to it. So, you know what I'm saying? I did drop a piece of steak on the floor too, so I'm gonna throw that in the trash. I got a trash can right here. So get over here, wash my hands. All right. Risotto's still doing good. Starting to get there. Let's add a little more broth to that. And keep letting that thing cook. You turn that, adjust that temperature, you know what I mean? Keep that adjusted. Because again, we do not want it to overcook. Now, next thing for our meat, a little lemon juice. Literally probably like not tablespoons, capfuls. Depending on how much you're making. We're only doing like 2 plates, so 2 capfuls. That's all I need. And I usually use W sauce, Worcestershire sauce, but right now I just got a little liquid smoke. So, and then this one don't have the little shake bottle like Worcestershire sauce. So, you just want to give it a couple of splashes. Not too much because again, this is an Italian dish, so you don't want it to taste super smoky. You want it to be, just flavorful. So yeah. A little bit of nature seasoning, just a little bit. Not a whole lot. You're gonna set that over there and just kind of let that marinate for a little while. We got a little spoon over here. We can mix that up in there with those juices. You know what I mean? Just a nice little mix. Oh yeah, that's not good. Seasoning, W sauce, lemon juice. It's good. It's gonna be real good. And we're just gonna cook that in butter. You know what I mean? We're gonna let our butter brown in the pan a little bit, then we're just gonna throw that in there. It's gonna be wonderful. Get me over here talking about it's gonna be wonderful. I sound like somebody on Food Network or something, don't I?
It's gonna be wonderful.
It's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be just lovely. The aromatics of the rice is so beautiful. Oh shit. Excuse my language. We'll bleep that. All right. One other thing we can do while we're still waiting on that rice is get our focaccia bread ready. And again, a focaccia bread is an Italian herb bread. This one happens to be rosemary. They have an oregano bread. They have an Italian seasoning bread or Italian herb bread, whatever you want to call it. And they're all good, if you ask me. They're all really good. Kind of broke a little bit, so we'll be gentle. We're just cutting a few pieces though. A few pieces to put on a, like a side of bread. This dish don't necessarily call for bread, but I was in the store and I saw the focaccia bread, so I was like, why not? And at the restaurant I've been working with, they actually put me onto the focaccia bread. So it can be a good bread for pastas and stuff as well. If you're like at home making pastas, you want something different instead of garlic bread, go get some focaccia bread. Throw you some butter on that thing, and straight. Yeah, we're checking on rice. Just a little piece. It's almost there. It's almost there. Just add a little more broth. We're running out of our warm broth. So what we'll do is we'll get some more broth. We're gonna put it in this little bowl that we have the rice in, because we cannot put a stainless steel bowl in the microwave, obviously.
I mean, you can, but
You can if you want to blow up the microwave. So throw that in there.
this takes off the fun.
Hmm.
This takes away the fun.
Yeah, but we ain't trying to have fun, and we don't own this house, so we ain't gonna burn it down. Yeah. So yeah, that's what that is. So these young minds, they're crazy. I don't know what to do with them. I'm trying to teach him right, but he a Gen Zer. So I gotta show him. I'm showing him though. I'm showing him. So anyway, we're waiting on our our broth back there. We're gonna cut our bread. I like to do like a nice little. You can cut it however you want. You can cut it in squares. You can cut it in strips, diagonally. However, I just trying to make it look a little fancy, so I'm gonna do a nice diagonal cut. You know what I mean? Nice diagonal cut so you can get that little piece of the bread. I told you I did kind of bend it a little bit, so that's the ugly piece. And it's not really it's kind of a hollow bread at some point, sometimes, depending on how it's made. So yeah, we just gonna cut it in little strips like that. Cut that one more time into a small strip. And, we're gonna toast those in a minute. Get a little butter melted, and then we'll toast those in our toaster oven over here. All right, our broth is warmed up. It don't got to be steaming hot, but you at least want to, give it some temperature. Put that in our bigger bowl. Then we can start adding more warm broth to our risotto. Something else you can do with your risotto while it's cooking in the broth right here, you can go ahead and season it. It's a little salt and pepper in there. I don't use my EdibleDope seasoning on rice and vegetables and stuff because it's not really for vegetables. My EdibleDope seasoning is strictly for every kind of meat. You can use it on fish, chicken, steak, salmon, whatever. I mean, that's a fish, but whatever. You can use it on any kind of meat. EdibleDope seasoning, but I don't have a vegetable seasoning quite yet. Which I mean, it's not hard to do, but I just haven't done it because I prefer to just use the nature seasoning because I like it. So rice kind of sticking a little bit. That's kind of a good sign when your rice gets to sticking. That lets you know it's almost done. So rice is sticking a little bit. We're just kind of trying to get that off the bottom of that pan because we don't want it to stick. I'm trying to get our fire up a little bit too, so that's another reason why it's sticking. So let's keep that like that. Wash that bowl out. We had that broth in. And we're going to use it to make some butter for our focaccia bread that we're going to toast. So we'll throw our butter in there. I like to flavor my butter up, so don't judge me. No lemon juice. Just a little bit. A little bit of liquid smoke, not W sauce. Small splash. A little bit of EdibleDope seasoning. Even though this bread already has flavor, I don't care. I'm adding more flavor. Because that's what I want to do. You do what you want to do. And I'm going to do what I do. You know what I'm saying? I'm just showing y'all the steps, how to do this. All right, our rice is getting about done. So now we can get our steak going while this is getting to the finishing steps. It's almost there. Let's add a little more broth in there, a couple more scoops, and then we're gonna be done with that. Get that done. Now we can come over here and we can get this one started. This one ain't gonna give us the problems that one gave us. There we are. Oh, there we go. And this one's gonna be for our steak. Our butter in here is done for our focaccia. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna set that right there because we're gonna just throw that on top of the focaccia and we're gonna throw that in the oven real nice like. Right now, we're gonna get some more butter in our pan for our steak. And like I said, we're gonna cook all that steak in just straight butter. So we wanna get us a nice generous amount. It'll come off paper. Nice generous amount of butter in there. And kind of give it a chance to brown. Not burn, brown. It's a difference because when it's brown, you'll see that it's brown. When it's burnt, you'll smell that it's burning. So that's the difference between brown butter and burnt butter. If you didn't know that already. Good. A little more of that nature seasoning in there. Ooh, little mess. But when you're in the kitchen, you're supposed to make a mess. Not necessarily supposed to, but you know, it's okay. Well, actually, we want our heat up pretty high. When you're cooking steak, you want a pretty high heat because you want that good sear on your steak. Even when you're doing steak bites or flank steak or anything like that, any kind of steak, you want to get a nice hot pan because you want that sear on there. That's what's going to make a good steak. And even though I don't eat steak, but
You don't eat steak?
I don't.
Oh, I was gonna ask you how you like your steak.
Uh, when I did, medium. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a medium rare guy, and you're not supposed to eat steak well done. So yeah, I don't eat well done steak.
So,
Yeah,
being chef, he knows.
you're not supposed to eat steak well done. I know you. I know. It actually makes it harder to digest when you eat it well done. That's why people like medium rare, medium, medium well is kind of pushing it, but it still will digest good in your stomach. But let's go ahead and put the rest of that broth in there. Get the rest of that going. But yeah, because meat, what people probably don't know is steak has to die, has to rot in your stomach before it can digest. So it takes longer if you eat a well done steak. It takes longer for that to digest than a medium or medium rare or a rare or whatever. But me, I don't eat steak because it don't agree with me like that. It don't make me feel good when I eat it. The only way I can really eat some steak is if it's cut up like beef tips, like this type of steak that we got right here, or if it's like steak tacos or something like that. That's like the only time I can really eat a steak. Outside of that, I don't really indulge in steak like that. I'm a seafood guy. I like shrimp and catfish and stuff like that. I don't eat salmon, but I like shrimp and catfish and stuff. So that's getting brown. Our butter is getting brown. Let's get our oven here ready for our focaccia bread. We can lay those down on here on this tray. You know what I mean? Lay those on this tray. And then we'll get our butter. Our butter is browned in our pan, so we can start throwing our steak in. So let's get our steak in here and hope that we don't set off this fire alarm, smoke alarm. So we're about to create a whole lot of it. And we're gonna throw that in there. We're just gonna let that cook. We can turn that up as well. Oop, this steak low. Turn that up and just let that thing cook. You know what I mean? Let that stuff go while we still working on our risotto. All right, risotto is about done. See, we got it looking real nice and done right there. Now it's about time we start adding our cheese, our Parmesan. While that's going on, add in a little. Add in a little bit more of our broth that we got left just to kind of help that cheese melt. And at this point, you want to have your temperature down low so that it doesn't burn the rest of the what's name. We throw a little bit of our Italian parsley in there. Throw that out. And then we can just give that a nice little mix. You know, nice little mix up. Let our cheese get incorporated. Let our parsley get incorporated. You know what I mean? See, it's already getting ooey and gooey from our Parmesan. Let's add in a little more. I'm gonna throw that in there. We got more if we need more. You know what I mean? Let's close this until we get there. Yeah, hold that over like that. I want to add a little more parsley in there. I'm gonna add a little bit more in there. Of course, you can season it down a little bit more. Like I said, fold it over, fold it over, fold it over. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Look at that. Look at that. See that cheese coming over there? Look at that. That's some good risotto right there. Risotto made the edible dope way. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we got that on. Let that sit on low. Let that sit on extremely low. And that's it. That's it for our risotto. Extremely low so it just stays just enough to where it stays warm for when we get ready to eat. Stay here. We're cooking on all cylinders. Where's my tongs? Get my tongs and stir this up. Flip some of those bigger pieces over. And we'll let that keep going while we finish doing our focaccia bread. Alright, so now we have our butter that we melted for our focaccia. You can mix that up a little bit. And we're going to just pour that over each one of these pieces of bread. Just kind of get it on there and coated real nicely. You know, throw a little butter on there. Hey, there's nothing, can't go wrong with putting butter on bread. I mean, it's like, you know, putting ketchup on fries. You know, it just goes together. All right, that's what we got going here. So, I heard somebody was in need of a chef. And if that happens to be you, then we want you to reach out to us. Whether it be for your wedding, baby shower, or even a romantic event for you and your loved one. And if you want to actually know where to reach us at, you can reach us on all social media platforms at EdibleDope Chef, or you can email us at edibledopechef@gmail.com. Now, y'all get back to that video.
But how'd you get in my house?
The door was open.
He told me the door was open.
And like I think I mentioned this last episode, I can't wait until we get our first guest on here. It's gonna be so dope when we get our first guest on the show. I think that's gonna be real cool. I'm still trying to decide who I want to be the first guest, but we do have a nice lineup of guests that, you know, have already told me they want to be on here. So let's see. I'm gonna let that toast. Our risotto, as y'all can see, it is done completely. Let's do a taste. Matter of fact, I have plastic spoons. Let's give it a taste. Woo! Oh, dang. Good Lord. Good Lord Jesus. It's probably better than the pasta we made last week, bro. You gotta get some of this. Come on, get on in this camera, bro. Come on around here. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Come on, dog. Come on. Get some of this. Get some of that right there, man. Yeah. Shout out to bro. He the one behind the camera. And you better keep this clip in, because I know you're going to try to delete it. So y'all make sure y'all tell him keep this clip in.
Delete it.
Taste it. See how fast he went out the camera. I wanted him to be on camera tasting it, but now he on. He done went out the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So what we thinking?
That's good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bet.
Cheesy, but it's still rice. I can eat it by itself.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Most
And it's
risotto,
flavorful.
most risotto dishes don't have meat with them. To be honest, risotto is just rice. You don't really put the meat you put on it is extra.
Really? So you
Yeah.
can really add any meat.
Any meat, chicken, shrimp, steak, whatever, pork, whatever kind of fish. I didn't have risotto with. Well, I've always made it. The only time I've had risotto at a restaurant was when I went to Fort Lauderdale with my sister and her best friend for her best friend's birthday, and we went to this place called Bar One. I believe it was called Bar One. The first time I had lamb chops too. I had lamb chops, risotto, and some kind of little arugula salad that they had on the side of the lamb chops. So it was good, and that's what made me want to learn how to make risotto because I always knew what risotto was, but I didn't know it was like that. It was good when I first had it, and it was just like this. It was Parmesan garlic Parmesan. This don't have garlic in it, but you know, yeah. Oh wait, I messed up. Forgot to put the onions back in the risotto. I'm tripping. You know, we just gonna get those and throw them back in there, and now we can get this mixed up. You know what I mean? And like I said, we already cooked them down, so that's a good thing. Is we don't have to worry about them getting cooked because they're already cooked to the temperature and consistency that we want the onions. So now we're just mixing them in. Our focaccia bread is toasting. You know what I mean? It's getting there. Let that sit there a little bit. And we're getting our risotto done. Our steak is about done. One way you can tell steak is done too by texture, how it feels. So that steak is about done. Our risotto's done. Good and mixed up. We got our onions in there. We got our Italian parsley in there. Got our Parmesan in there. We're gonna be making a couple of plates. Our focaccia is all about done. Let me see. Let me take it out. Let's see. Okay, we can flip them over a little bit. Okay. Focaccia can go stay in there another couple minutes. I know what y'all probably gonna be saying. I keep licking my fingers. I'm not cooking for nobody. So I can lick my fingers while I'm cooking because I ain't cooking for nobody. Ain't like I'm cooking for customers, you know. But I'm gonna try my best to follow the rules. You know. I do follow the rules when I'm cooking for people though. I don't be in here tasting and licking my fingers and stuff. But since I'm just shooting the show and it's just me and bro, hey, why not? So since we got everything done, we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup and we'll be right back with our plating portion. All right, y'all, we are back. And as y'all know, we have finished our entire meal. Our steak is done. Our risotto is done and looking real good and cheesy. Our buttered focaccia bread is done. So now we're going to show y'all the plating process. Y'all see we have these beautiful brown fall autumn time vibe plates. Getting my words mixed up. You know what I mean? Because it is that time, we're in about the end of October, and it's also the week of Halloween, which is why my good buddy Chucky has joined us for this portion of the show. So, first thing first, we're gonna get our risotto right here. It's nice and cheesy. Y'all see that? We're gonna just put some of that in the bottom of that bowl right there. Flatten it down because we're gonna lay our steak across it. Yeah, just like so. Same thing with this bowl over here. Gonna lay that down right in the middle. Right there, a little bit more on top. Because like I said, our steak is gonna get put right on top of this rice. All right, pat that down. Now we can go to our steak. A little bit on each plate. Start it there. Just really kind of want to let it fall where it falls under, so you don't. It doesn't have to be piled on top like I'm about to do it. You can kind of, pile it, have a few pieces falling on the side or something. I don't have a problem with that. However you do you, just make sure it's you. You know what I'm saying? Pile that on top of there. Get that on there. And yes, we're about to put all this steak on top of these two. And again, as far as measurements and things like that, ounces and all that stuff, it'll all be in the description when we post the final video. So I had a little butter left from my focaccia bread, and I just want to ladle it over that steak so that steak is just nice and buttered, because I know I did say buttered steak. I'm sure I said garlic buttered steak, but I didn't put any garlic on there, so it's just buttered steak. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of that Italian parsley, and we just want to take a little bit on there and just, throw it on top. Just a little freshen upper for the dish. You know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. Throw that on there. Get our little towel and do our little plate wipe because we don't want it to be ugly. You know what I mean? Wipe that plate. Wipe that plate. Take a piece of our focaccia. One piece on each. Oh, come on off of there. That's how you know it's butter. It's slipping all out of my hand. So. And there we have it. Like I said, we still got a little butter left, so let's go ahead and just, let's get funky with it and drown it. There we go. There we are. We have our Parmesan Risotto with butter steak and focaccia bread. Now, y'all already know what time it is. It's time to eat. What you think, Chucky? You think it's time to eat or what?
It's showtime.
Y'all heard the man. It's showtime. Let's get our plates. Let's go eat.
I'll be back. I always come back.
All right, y'all. So we're just wrapping up another episode of Chefs Know It All. Y'all seen what we had today? We did Parmesan risotto with buttered steak and buttered focaccia bread. And y'all know before we get out of here, we always want to leave y'all with a little bit of mindful dope to walk away with. So for today's mindful dope, I want to say, and this is something that me and my little brother were talking about on the way to shoot today. Um, Basically, it's about knowing yourself, knowing what you want out of life, knowing how to go get it, what you need to go get it, and how to use your resources to be able to go get it. So I just want to share with y'all, like, man, go after. I've probably said this in a previous episode, but go after what you want. Figure it out. Think about it. Take the time to sit down and think about it. If you don't have the time, make the time. And sometimes you got to make do with what you got. That's what we're doing with this show right now. We don't have all the pieces. We don't have all the mics and all the this and that and the third and the lights and all of that. We're lucky to have this kitchen space, but excuse me, we don't have everything we need to make it to do what we really want to do. But we're making do with what we have. So that's the message, the mindful dope of the day. Make do, figure out what you want to do, figure out how to do it, how you're going to execute it, and then go all in with it. Don't play with it. Don't pussyfoot around with it. Go all in. Put your best foot forward. Use all your resources. Research. There's all kind of research technology these days that you can use. So use everything you can to get what you want out of life. And if you don't have all that you need, make do with what you got until you get what you need. All right? So again, another episode, Chefs Know It All. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for watching. Keep sticking it out with us, man. Again, we're on episode 3 or 4 or something like that, because we did shoot a special episode for my birthday. I'm 3 days 34. Today is October 28th, 2025. I turned 34 on October 25th, 2025. So I'm 3 days 34. And when I say I'm about to make this my big dog shack year, it's about to be my big dog shack year, for real. So y'all get out of here. I'm about to eat something so we can get up out of here. And hey, again, another episode, Chefs Know It All. EdibleDope. We appreciate you.